brand in America. Now, they don't mean number one beer brand, taste, let's not get in the weeds. They mean the most prominent sold. It is on pace. It will happen any day now where Modelo is going to pass Bud Light. And he asked the question, are corporate boardrooms watching? Are they willing to learn the hard lessons being taught by America's consumers? Now, here's the part where people get frustrated on all this. You got to pick the targets. A Bud Light using this nonsense, shoving transgenderism down the throat of Americans when they just wanted a beer with this 27-year-old influencer who got put in there as a VP can be taken out, and taken out big time. Target is not going to be taken out, but Target is suffering. There is no doubt about that, okay? The question, though, becomes, how about some of these others like the Los Angeles Dodgers and what they're doing? Well, it doesn't appear the Los Angeles Dodgers are going to be taken out yet, okay, given their, where they are in Los Angeles, given they're a big brand, et cetera. All right, that's one you got to work on. So you can't get disappointed that you don't take out every single one of them. What you have to look at is the message going to many in corporate America. Now here, though, in Canada, that message didn't ring true. There's a pitcher, Anthony Bass, and he went biblical on the whole transgender thing. He talked about the fact, as a Christian, he couldn't square the stuff up that was going on with mocking religion, the Dodgers, et cetera. And Pride Night, a big Pride Night that is being had by the Toronto Blue Jays. You got to see the video of this, but I think even the sound will show it to you. It sounds like a hostage video. It looks like it's in North Korea. You put it together, Dan. This guy can't wait to get out of there.
His eyes are like wafers.
Yeah, and he's trying to say lines, and he's saying, give me a word. What's that word? Hold up the card again, the script.
Someone should examine his blinking to see if there's any Morse code in there.
Yes, I think he was saying, get me out of Canada. Get me out of Toronto. All right, here's what pitcher Bass said. And you got to wonder, what would the Phillies do with a guy like this? He went biblical on his Instagram about this. Here's what he said.
All right. Ready? Yeah. Okay, I'll make this quick. I recognized yesterday I made a post that was hurtful to the Pride community, which includes friends of mine and close family members of mine, and I am truly sorry for that. I just spoke with my teammates and shared with them my actions yesterday. I apologize with them, and as of right now, I'm using the Blue Jays resources to better educate myself to make better decisions moving forward. The ballpark is for everybody. We include all fans at the ballpark, and we want to welcome everybody. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, breaking this down, this is what, look, we get Hollywood. We get academia, right? We get that. We get somewhat of corporate America. But you would think sports used to be the bastion of a little bit more rough and tumble, not as politically correct. But that's not true. They've captured some of that also. ESPN is a perfect example. This commentator, Samantha Sam Ponder, is under fire by this nitwit, Nancy Armour, Dan, who I've had on the show. She writes for USA Today. She's attacking Ponder, a female commentator on ESPN, because Ponder has taken up what you think would be a layup, the cause of women not having to race against men, et cetera, trans men, trans women in sports. And Nancy Armour killing her on this. And I don't know how ESPN feels about it, but I do. They're in the tank big time. So how can we have athletes who are borderline criminals, sometimes criminals, right? And they're much in demand. That doesn't seem to matter. But when it comes to stuff like this, suddenly they have to get their mind right. Yeah, this is a hostage video. But there is a day of reckoning out there. And guess what the next one is? This, Dan, you probably haven't heard. This was in this Paul Garrity column. According to, first of all, Modelo, according to Nielsen, IQ Data and Consulting, is on pace to pass Bud Light as the number one beer brand. Dan, I don't know if we have to get permission or not, but when it does, I think we should drink each one of us a Modelo every hour to
Oh,
send
let's
them
do
over
it.
the top.
I want to
more.
do 2 Modelo's an hour. Come on.
All right, there
Yeah,
you
by
go.
the third
Let's
hour,
get
you're gonna be
Greg
feeling
on
good.
that.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
the official beer of Dom Giordano Day, we'd have to serve it down there at the shore, without a doubt. Okay. In addition to that, there's another Indiana Jones coming. Let me see if I can follow this here. Yes. It was at Cannes, and the line was not in there, but apparently, says Garrity, there might be a line in the new Indiana Jones film about colonialism and calling out Indiana Jones by the female assistant.
Oh, so now he's a bad guy?
Yes,
Oh.
for colonialism, for stealing artifacts, for the whole. I was wondering when they would get to
But
him.
excuse me, Dr. Jones, aren't you being a colonialist here?
Yes, as the guy's taking another raw, that guy, and then he reaches in and takes the guy's heart out. But we're supposed to say, we didn't see that. That's primitive.
Melting Nazi faces
Yes.
the colonialists. So.
Yes, but they don't know if the lines will be left in or not. That's what Garrity says. Now, I would think this is kind of iconic, that this is going to cause a stir, but doesn't it undercut all of Indiana Jones? If you have someone blabbing on about colonialism, then I think it undercuts everything, without a doubt. All right, we got a lot of other stuff today, too. We got a great side question. Henry Winkler on the show. Our friend, George Paquetto. This guy takes no prisoners, and I put it up on Twitter, and people are loving this story. You know about the Columbus statue. Every time I do a national show, I try to put the camera over there, and they ask me occasionally, what the heck? What's that in there? It looks like a... Yeah. So pieces of the box are on my wall from the Columbus box. So now the Italian-American group, Friends of Marconi Plaza, to George Paquetto, they filed a lawsuit against Philadelphia Mayor Jim Kenney and city officials. Now, I'm going to ask him, I wish there was some way to file this when he gets out of office, too, as a private citizen. The stuffed shirt chair of the Historical Commission, Robert Thomas, and other commission members. And it's around the Columbus statue. And I think it's also, Dan, around the fact they don't want any cockamamie put next to Columbus saying, oh, yeah, we just want to tell you he was in the slave trade, stuff like that. He'll be here at 12:30 today. Can hardly wait for that, without a doubt. So Henry Winkler here, and we're going to talk with Scott Perry about the debt ceiling. He is against it. He's voting against the bill. The tell will be whether or not they get a majority that signs off on the bill are Republicans. If it's Democrats, that's a big problem. Okay, here's the thing that caught my interest today, though. Our friends over in Ocean City have cracked down further. And what's causing this is the king of hair, the king of hairstyles, Phil Murphy. It's around rowdy. We call it out here in Philadelphia. You got to call out these punks that are in Ocean City also. Over the weekend, over Memorial Day weekend, they had 999 incidents, calls, drinking, vandalism, assault, shoplifting, confiscation of a firearm. Several kids passed out unconscious due to alcohol. So they're changing the curfew for juveniles to 11 p.m. Everybody has to be off the beach at 8 p.m. Carrying backpacks will not be permitted. They're beefing up the police. And I found the best line in here to tie it together. If you've forgotten about this, how's Murphy? Thank you. That's what we need. That's what I would play over that. He'd be good for that. He's announcing next week. It came out today, by the way. Christie. Big picture of Christie. Hologram of him in the beach chair, and amping up a bit, saying, get the hell off the beach. All right. How's Murphy involved? Well, here's what happened. Jersey voted overwhelmingly to legalize marijuana for recreational use for adults. Remember all that? But Murphy, progressives, the NAACP, you know what they said? They said, we can't trust these racist cops. This is
That's
what always
right.
comes back
I
to.
forgot about this.
Because they can't go after black people who are adults, they're going to double down and go after more black underage potential
How
drinkers or
ridiculous is that?
smoke. That's exactly what they did. And I have in front of me 22 printed pages from that attorney general who's no longer there that he put out reining in the police. And as a result of this, the police have lost their authority around these things. And these punks in places like Ocean City know it. So here is that this is from the best line to summarize all this is the police chief, Dan, of Ocean City. He said to the Inquirer 2 years ago, a juvenile in the middle of the boardwalk with a beer in hand, you take them into custody, call their parents, and have parents pick them up. Now, if we see that same kid in the middle of the boardwalk with a beer can, he gets a warning, and we send notice to parents.
So it's not illegal to drink underage then?
Well,
Like when something's illegal, you
Yeah.
get in trouble with the law. You get a ticket, you get arrested.
Right.
You don't get a warning and a call to your parents. That makes it not illegal.
Now, little punk. Can you imagine the Philly cops I know? Like a John McGrody having to say, I'm giving you a warning. Yeah, right.
And just like
Right.
you think a teenager's actually going to be afraid with that?
No,
Like, no,
they're
it's not
mocking
a
it. They're
deterrent at
going
all.
wild. And again, people that accuse and say race is the driving. On the Dom Giordano show, I call punks as I see them. And these are punks on those beaches in Ocean City. They ought to be rounded up. Their mommy and daddy ought to be brought to the station house after a few hours. They ought to be read the riot act, fined, and if they do it again, put in jail. Maybe an overnight stay would change things. But who triggered that? Progressives, the king of hair, NAACP. All cops are racist. So it got transferred over. We don't want cops hassling black teenagers or 18 years of age or under. So now the punks of Ocean City and Sea Isle City and these other places, they're using this. And the cops don't have that power to kind of clean this stuff up using their own discretion. The police chief of Avalon said on the show a couple years ago, there's some small bridges, like they're jumping off into the water. In the past, we'd tell them to stop. If they didn't, we'd fish them out of there, take them home. The mom and dad read them the riot act or take them in. Now, I'm giving you a warning. I love what this guy said. 2 years ago, a juvenile in the middle of the boardwalk with a beer, you take them into custody, call their parents, and have the parents pick them up. Now, if we see that same kid in the middle of the boardwalk with a beer can, he gets a warning, and we send notice to parents. 999 incidents in Ocean City? I mean, Ocean City, no place is Mayberry today. But as far as America's #1 family destination, I see why Ocean City is. It's a great place. It's not that big. How could you have 999 calls, Dan, for all these things? Man, I have to ask Mayor Pete how many he had. And well, that's nothing. We had 10,000. No, I don't think so. That's a lot of incidents, a lot of calls. And what's fueling it? Progressives. All right, phone lines, 855-839-1210. At the end of your call, you can react to any of this. George Paquetto here at 1230. In honor of Henry Winkler, Dan came up with this one. Give us a fictional character, and this is heavy hitting. Fictional character like the Fonz that became a breakout, a cultural icon. I mean, the Fonz is not only the Fonz coolness, it's also jumping the shark. We still say it today. I don't think anything's replaced that. Yeah, that's done. That's jump the shark. I don't know what the phrase would be that would go in there. I'm going to take off the board Batman and Bart Simpson. How about you, Dan? Have one or no? All right. 855-839-1210, AT&T, and Verizon Wireless. Sorry, I didn't see you on the phone. Yeah. I said I'm taking off the board Batman and Bart Simpson. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Yes, of course. Right.
But when you think of, the mafioso at this point, everyone just
Mhm.
kind of thinks of Tony Soprano. So I think he's broke out to be a cultural icon.
Definitely. I have a list of what some people say are the top 20 of all time. It's a matter of,
Can I take one from the movies
yeah,
off?
go right
How
ahead.
about Dorothy? Dorothy from The Wizard
Yes,
of
I don't
Oz.
know today that
You don't think
people know.
anymore?
I have to say, maybe not so much
It's really
today.
not. It used to be played on TV, it feels like
Yeah,
24/7.
yeah, not as much.
Yeah.
So I would say, yeah, it's out there. I don't know that we're in heavy hitter when you're dealing with Batman and
Bart Simpson, yeah.
Bart
And
Simpson.
the
It's pretty heavy hitter.
Fonz,
The
yeah.
Fonz. All right, that's at the end of your call. Give us some conversation on what we're talking about today, and then at the end of your call, hit us with that and give us a reason why. Just don't blurt something and be off. Tell us.
So what I just got a call from the mayor of Ocean City's
Yeah,
assistant, because we were hoping to get him on
yeah.
the show today. But they're going to be holding a press conference just for public information. Press conference
Right.
tomorrow at 3 p.m. addressing
Okay.
this situation. So we'll hear more then, and then we'll keep trying to get him on the show here
Get
at
them
the
on
Dom Show.
Friday then.
I'm trying to.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. If
yeah.
that's what. Yeah, I'd like to talk with the mayor without a doubt. At the end of your call, then hit us with that in honor of Henry Winkler here today at 2:00. We'll talk with Scott Perry. I'm not sure how this vote's going to go, except it's going to pass. So you're thinking, well, what else matters? The debt ceiling. What else matters is how many Republicans vote for it. Because if not a great deal of Republicans vote for it, then we are going to see some difficulty, I think, as far as what's the name? McCarthy being in difficulty. Okay. 855-839-1210. You get on board. The DeSantis Trump matchup, got a lot of stuff on that today. Christie announcing next week. Here we go. It's amazing. All right. Jump in here at
I
855.
just want to plug real quick,
Yeah.
Dom. We're back. We're
Yes.
back on YouTube.
Back on YouTube
Yeah,
today. That's right.
youtube.com/@1210WPHT every day, dining with Dom from noon until 1. Come check us out. Dom looks beautiful today. I like your hair. You look really good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's my spring collection. I'm getting ready for the Bloviation of the Year Talkers Convention on Friday. I'll be coming to you from Hofstra, among other things.
Some information that commenters have been saying
Yeah.
on here. Allegedly, Modelo, forget them. They're owned by InBev, the owners of Budweiser. So the money's still going to the parent company.
Well, it's still hurting their brand, though. I don't care what you say.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it
I mean,
still
you know
discredits
what,
Bud Light,
Dan? I
right?
got to put that down. With all due respect, and people can attack. I'm tired of the nitpicking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's always the nitpicker. No, Dan, if Bud Light, they don't understand. It's not, I get it, the company, but it's the brand. If that brand is destroyed, you know what? How that hurts Budweiser?
Yeah.
Modelo is a different brand. They're appealing to different people. I don't know. It seems to be more Latino in the ads and all, right?
Yeah.
You've seen it.
Yeah.
So don't they get it? If Bud Light is destroyed, you know what it takes to build up that brand? How much over the years?
And I really think if we're talking about the pure purpose of killing the brand, it was Bud Light that was the transgender, not InBev that was making the decision.
Yes.
Wasn't it a Bud Light marketing director?
Yes. I mean, you got to stop it. It just gets to be too much. If that's the way you want to look at the world, yeah, but what about this? Okay, go right ahead.
That did kick off a couple of suggestions in the comments, though.
Yeah.
Yingling has been said. I love some Yingling. And also Sapporo, a Japanese beer, has been mentioned as well.
Okay, people can do that. We know that. Haven't we been saying that? The point is, though, they're going to be knocked out as the number one brand in America. That's the point. That's how you get the message to corporate America. Now, if suddenly Yingling was made the number one brand in America or close to it, I get it. It's the message to stop this stuff. All right, I'm not going to get frustrated, but I am. You know what? And you can call me. You can read me. I don't care. That's the way I see it. All right, 855-839-1210. You get in on Talk Radio 1210. Here, Dano's show. Welcome in, everyone. Good Wednesday. 855-839-1210. You get in. The way to follow the DeSantis-Trump race is not to look at national polling where Trump has a clear superiority, but it's to look at the swing states like Iowa. And there, at least according to the most recent Emerson poll, Trump has a 41-point lead over DeSantis, which is enormous for Iowa. And part of this is that younger voters are overwhelmingly, for those under 35, 75% support Trump over DeSantis and the others. And those without a college degree, 70% support Trump. So the critical thing is because you realize that Cruz won in Iowa in 2016. If Trump gets off with a win in Iowa, it's going to be very difficult to stop. I don't see how DeSantis wins in a place like South Carolina. The reason being that you have popular Senator Tim Scott and former governor Nikki Haley, and then Trump, who is enormously popular in South Carolina. So that's not a state where I could see DeSantis winning. And if these Iowa numbers are anywhere near that, that's a big deal. These things are the polls we look at. Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina. Whoever comes out of South Carolina, wins South Carolina and comes out of that, then you are going to see that person, 90% certitude or more, be the nominee. Now, I don't know. The only uptick for DeSantis on the national level, Real Clear Politics, who are good. They're nonpartisan. Real Clear Politics average of polls. Trump has a 30.8-point lead. That lead, while enormous, has been shrinking in the last week. On May 20th, it was 36.9, so that's close to a 6 point smaller. The reason being, I think, DeSantis finally announcing, DeSantis being in the game, all those things help with that. But the national polling is not, it's just a foggy barometer. The one to look at is Iowa. And again, if DeSantis, with his stance on abortion, cannot pull through or be very close in Iowa, I don't see how he wins in a place like South Carolina. New Hampshire is a little bit of a different animal. Let's go to Susan. She's in Chester Springs, and she starts us off on Talk Radio 1210. Hey, Susan, good afternoon.
Oh, good morning, Dom. The whole thing is so discouraging. I did vote for Trump twice. I wish he wouldn't run. It's just going to divide the party, and there's no way we're going to win. And DeSantis I love, but why did he do that heartbeat law? I mean, the Republicans are idiots.
Yeah, the heartbeat law is so out of step. And the only thing I could tell you, Susan, he thinks he's got to win in Iowa. He thinks those evangelicals, et cetera. But what does it profit you to win Iowa if you have that around your neck? You're not going to be president with a 6-week heartbeat bill.
That's true. What does it say in the Bible about losing your soul?
Yeah, it does. And look, this may even be heartfelt, which is fine. But we know where the sweet spot is. And if you're going down here with 6-week heartbeat bills, we know what's going to happen. So he's got to reposition somehow or another. And I'm not sure how that's going to be. All right. Who is it that you have that's a cultural icon, fictional character?
It's so disgusting I would even think this, but Kim Kardashian.
Well, who's the fictional character, though?
Oh, yeah. We're looking fictional. Yeah.
Yeah, well, she is. She's all fake.
Okay. All right, we'll put that one down. Yes.
It's a great justification.
Well, we don't know. I'm not going to assume that the woman has any. Has she been corking several bats there? She's got like a whole bat rack that's been corked. That may be the case. You know, I'm not sure about that, though. I want to believe that that's a natural occurrence there. Probably not. All right. So the Ocean City thing. when you really get the backstory is that Ocean can you imagine the cops having to deal with these punks in a place like Ocean City? Not used to I mean, for years, there was rowdiness, the Wildwood stuff and all. So they're kind of equipped. It has a reputation. But Ocean City, you know how precious that reputation is? America's number one family resort town, number one in the whole country. And they don't do it by, being overly policing. It's just that it seems to work. Maybe it's a non alcohol thing. I'm not sure, but it does work. And when seagulls get out of line, they do send the owls and the hawks in. Ah, ah. But engaging with this, with these kids on the beach, we hear it all the time. We say it here in Philadelphia. Where are their moms and dads? I would say the same thing. Where are mommy and daddy in Ocean City? Yeah, where are they? What are they allowing here? And when we were in Ocean City last year, you could see it. Mobs of these kids, 9, 10 o'clock at night, still on the beaches, doing whatever they want. Most of it illegal. What are cops supposed to do? 999 calls they had around things like this for Ocean City. I know there were more people down there due to Memorial Day, but my God. All right, coming up, great attorney. Wonderful attorney. Once he gets on something, he doesn't let go. He's in a death match with Big Jim Kenney. That's George Paquetto. He won and brought it here that very morning, that afternoon on my show, getting the Columbus statue to take the box down around it. But now he's suing personally. Thank you, George. Now he's suing Big Jim Kenney and the stuffed shirts that are on that historical committee. And I kind of agree with him. The stuffed shirts, at least, they don't like all that Italian stuff. If they can take down Columbus a notch, yeah, they'll say it's artistic. And Jim Kenney apparently doesn't has that animus also. Is there anti-Italian bias out there in Philadelphia? What happened to Italian Americans in the leadership of Philadelphia? Mark Squilla is about the only one that's anywhere near that leadership. Did they all move away? It's a funny kind of thing. Hey, for all seafood lovers, you still haven't tried Captain Chucky's crab cakes. What are you waiting for? Captain Chucky's and Vera Pasta Company have created 2 brand new ravioli varieties, the Bangin' Crab and the Lobster Ravioli. Get your orders in for all those great Captain Chucky's items. Several choices, breaded, non-breaded crab cakes. Literally a crab cake for everybody. Dessert, soup, sides, appetizers, and of course, my personal favorite, the Dom Roll. Their Gulf shrimp is a huge hit, always wild caught, never farm raised. Visit one of Captain Chucky's 18, but soon to be 20 locations. See the crew at Newtown Square, Westtown Farm Market, Mullica Hill Farm Market, Jason and Bridget Latier in Jameson, Tony and Jamie Parson, their newest store in Cinnaments, and the Vogelsang family in Runnymede, New Jersey. In Ocean City, see Chris and Donna Ryan and Sea Isle, the McCann family. Just talked with them today. Going to be doing something there in the very near future. Great spot. And in Avalon, the Vasilotti family. Avalon's open daily. Ocean City, Fridays and Saturdays, noon till 5. Sea Isle, open Thursday through Sunday. Congrats to Sam Cancelleri and Irish Mike McGarry as they get preparing to open their new Captain Chucky store in Medford, New Jersey. Coming soon to Northeast Philadelphia Home Circle. Congrats to the Graziani family. Remember, website, welovecrabcakes.com. But if you're headed to the shore, check out the other website, CaptainChuckies at theshore.com. That's CAPTN Chuckies. That's YS at theshore.com. Dom Giordano Show, big issues, big guest. I know people have been following, whether you're in Philadelphia, whether you're Italian American or not, the Columbus statue. You get the significance of it. You get the buffoonery of it, putting a box around it. And we celebrated that. I still have it on the wall at home. And thanks to George Paquetto, who's with us in a second. But now the Italian American group Friends of Marconi Plaza have filed a lawsuit against the mayor and other city officials, the stuffed shirts on the so-called historical commission, over elements of this. Let's go to George Paquetto. Hey, George, welcome in. Thanks for joining us.
Dom, always a pleasure. How are you?
Well, very well. And I enjoyed it on Twitter. My followers greatly enjoyed this story. So what is the complaint, George?
Well, there is law out there, Dom, that if you're a sitting official, historic commission, art commission, parks and recreation commission, whatever the commission is, if you're a city official and you deliberately take actions which are contrary to your oath of office and your legal responsibilities under the Home Rule Charter, you're personally responsible for the damage that you cause. So this is beyond just disagreeing with an agency. This is holding officials accountable for their deliberate disregard of their obligations and their oaths of office. And it's all about accountability. And, you know, I didn't file this suit lightly. I offered each and every one of them the opportunity to resign their office. When you had the courts of appeal in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania holding that they acted with no legal basis whatsoever, that they violated due process, that they violated every law on the books, they're not worthy to hold office. And I offered them the opportunity, resign, and that'll be the end of it. And guess what? No one wanted to resign. So we go to the next step. We go to accountability, and we'll see where that takes us.
Well, it's refreshing because, you know, people, if they don't have someone high-powered like you, these people hide behind their office and you can sue them through the office and it doesn't matter. They're shameless. But boy, when it's personal, particularly this historical commission, we know the animus at Kenny, but you think people on that commission, George, would be sensitive artistically and the just the sentimentality here, connection to this and stepping on that. Do you really want to do that? And if you do, you better follow it to the letter of the law.
Dom, the Historical Commission is perhaps one of the most powerful commissions in the city of Philadelphia. They tell all landowners what they can and cannot do with their properties. They affect commerce, real estate, zoning in such an impactful way. And there's really no higher a calling as a city official than being able to sit in judgment of what happens within the boundaries of the city with respect to historical monuments, historical structures, real estate, and that type of thing. And if you're not going to follow the law, having such a vast responsibility, then why in the world should we as citizens of Philadelphia put up with that? I, for one, am not going to put up with it. I think they need to be held accountable. I think I'm going to open up a lot of eyes in the public when they see the depth to which these people have sunk in the discharge of their responsibilities and the way in which they violated their very oaths of office.
George, the anti-Italian sentiment here, what evidence are you going to present of that?
Oh, geez, where do I start, Tom? You want me to start with Kenny's comments about Guidos and Goombas and everything else about Italians? You want me to start with he ripped down the Rizzo statue? You want me to start with he was going to rip down the Columbus statue? You want me to start with he reassigned Italian captains out of South Philadelphia and put them in Siberia. Where do you want me to start with this administration's outright objective hatred of Italians? And Exhibit A, perhaps, is his executive order, the mayor's executive order, that eliminated in Philadelphia the holiday of Columbus Day, despite the fact that there's a state law that says it's a statewide holiday, despite the fact that the federal statute says it's a federal holiday.
Mm-hmm.
This mayor, by executive order, thinks he has the authority to change all that. And has he changed any other holiday in his entire administration? No. Why the Italians? When compared and stacked up with all of his other animuses, his hatred for Italian elected officials, it becomes obvious what's going on.
Well, the point is a good point that in an era of sensibilities to everything that goes on, you're right. Why is this the one group that has not shown any kind of deference to that?
And let me tell you this, Dom. I'm not, and you're not, and I think most of our networks, we're not whiners or complainers. But you can't just keep sticking the poke in the eye time after time and after time and expect us to sit back and do nothing. Had Kenny not taken these overtly aggressive actions against Italian Americans in this community, time after time after time, you'd have never heard from us. But if you're going to pick a fight, then, you know, don't be surprised when the person you're picking a fight with fights back.
Without a doubt. Now, George, you're calling for damages. Is it $50,000 on each one of these? Is sought for each of 4 separate counts?
Well, no, it's not $50,000. There's a technical pleading requirement in Philadelphia, Dom, that you either announce that you're suing for less than $50,000 or more than 50.
Okay.
So this is simply an announcement. We're suing for more than 50,000.
Okay.
Where it goes and how high and what other forms of relief may be available is all up to the jury. And, you know, I look forward to the day of putting this entire matter in front of a jury, putting these individuals on the witness stand and confronting them with their own harsh realities. We'll see where the jury goes.
Cut me in on selling tickets to that, seeing you cross-examining, not just Kenny, but this historical commission. That's where my animus is. I remember the stuff they said over at the art museum. The one guy, anyhow, I'm not sure, instead of wine red, he used another pejorative term for Italian Americans around that. So there's a history here of not liking this stuff.
Well, you know, one thing I do want to emphasize, it's not just the Historical Commission. It's the L&I Review Board, which administratively, Dom, before I was allowed to go to court, after the Historic Commission had their hearings, I was required to represent in front of the L&I Review Board as an administrative appellate body. And frankly, their conduct was more kangarooish than the Historic Commission. And each of those members of the L&I Review Board are also defendants in this lawsuit.
Wow. All right. This is even better than I thought. Well, George, thank you. A day of reckoning is coming on all this. We're so glad that the law may trump, as you said, the kangaroo courts that go on here in Philadelphia.
And by the way, Dom, just to emphasize, it's not about the money. It's about accountability. Each one of these individuals can immediately absolve themselves from this lawsuit by submitting their resignation. If they resign, then I would regard that as taking accountability for what they did, and that'll be that. But if they refuse to resign, then they're going to have to stand up to the music.
Absolutely. George, thank you. Good to talk with you again, as always.
Always a pleasure, Dom.
Thank you. George Paquetto here. Yeah, Dan, he did say Goombas and something else about Kenny there. Yeah. Oh, yeah. He said that at the very beginning. That's what Kenny
Yeah.
has said. Yeah, Mr. The only thing, if I were Kenny's attorney, I'd say, Your Honor, my client is a jerk. He's a misanthrope. He does this with everybody. Everybody would be suing him. All right. So we'll see how this goes. I'm loving this. You notice the difference. It's not the city would pay this out. They personally would have to pay it out, particularly that historical commission nonsense. 855-839-1210. That's how you get in. Hit us on the side question, too. Our good friend, John Gilgee of Rhino Shield, has reached out with a special offer for listeners. Book now. Get 20% off on your job. And you know what the job is. You don't want to paint again. Get that permanent solution to paint. Beautify your home with Rhino Shield. Rhino Shield looks like paint, goes on like paint, never chips, cracks, or fades. It's ceramic coating. It's guaranteed for life. You never have to paint again. I'm impressed with both the product and the company. It's perfect for any surface. You get the beauty of fresh paint with the maintenance of vinyl, even insulate your home. For a project as important as this, you want to work with someone you can trust. That's why I'm happy to recommend John Gilgee, the local owner of Rhino Shield. He'll meet with you himself and fully explain the process. He's helped many listeners just like you upgrade the look and quality of their home. Call him right now to take advantage of this 20% offer off just for my listeners. Visit myrhinoshield.com or call 844-RHINO-99. 844-RHINO-99. All right, welcome in, everyone. We'll keep you apprised of that. I love it. Accountability, Jim Kenney. I mean, can't hide behind the office on this one if he loses. That's what I like about it. Dom Giordano Show. Now, I'm looking out there today, and Newsmax arguably has been a bigger defender in some instances of President Trump than Fox News Channel. But even Newsmax today is pushing back on President Trump with Kayleigh McEnany. Now, Kayleigh McEnany, I think, served President Trump very well as his communications person, press person, is very smart, and is just a person that you may not like her politics if you're on the other side. But how can you take shots at Kayleigh McEnany? Well, Newsmax pushing back on Trump because he did do that. In a tweet, he didn't like the polling numbers she gave in one particular state, I think, and they may have been revised. And she was filling in for Laura Ingraham. And she may have been off on that, may not have known, but he went off on her and said, let the globalist have her about Kayleigh McEnany.
Wow.
I mean, it is shocking. So I want to have a heart-to-heart on this, not on the right or wrong of this. Obviously, it's not right. Savaging Kayleigh McEnany, you got to be deranged to come up with some kind of way of attacking her on this. I want to talk about a little bit in the next hour, along with Nicole Hannah-Jones, the 1619 Project woman, is now out in a school near you with reparations math. You have to give this woman credit. Reparations is in the air. This is a study guide of weeks of all kinds of things you can do in math around the issue of reparations and money and all that. I'll give you it's shocking, even for her. But I want to talk about this. Not so much. It's not a right thing to do with Kate. And no one's going to defend it. You're just completely delusional if you can defend this. You may want to call and do it, but we'll see. But tactically, with Trump, if he can refrain from doing this type of thing, think of how much better of an opportunity he has. But if he doesn't, we're going to be put into the same dilemma again with the suburbs, et cetera, which is, yes, I like the policies, but I can't take this. Biden doesn't do, oh my God. Kayleigh McEnany? You can't go off on Kayleigh. Can anybody call and defend that and say, of course you can. She deserved it. She was wrong in these polling numbers versus DeSantis. Savage her. I'll explain tactically why you don't go after that. She's not doing anything. She's not out there trying to race around for Ron DeSantis. All right, phone lines, 855-839-1210.